Hey everyone, this is Derek Bros of the Conscious Resistance Network, and today I'm bringing you my number 6 important story, ignored story of 2019 as we count down the top 7 most important stories that you might not have heard of or that should be given another look as we move into 2020. Now this one I'm really excited about because it's one story that I was kind of ahead of everybody, and this has happened a few times and I'm excited about it because it feels good to know that my instincts are correct. Before we get into that though, I want to remind you guys to bookmark theconsciousresistance.com. You guys know the drill by now. You can follow, subscribe, like, share all of our alternative media platforms, especially alternatives to YouTube. I really encourage you to sign up there. I also highly encourage you to sign up to our email newsletter. And for those who are interested in CBD and Kratom, check out our partner, My Brave Botanicals, right there. So it's the Finders. That's right. Number 6 is the Finders. Number 6, the top most, I think, important story of 2019 would be the kind of reemergence of interest in the Finders case. Now, for those who've been following my work throughout this year and even before this year, you're very aware that I started investigating the Finders last late summer and fall around August. And once I realized I was going to make a documentary, once I realized how much content there was related to this that was being ignored, I was recommended by somebody to make my investigation public, just in case, something went wrong, that all my information would be available. And I thought that was a good idea. So before I ever even produced part 1 or part 2 or the final full version of the documentary, we also were going through bit by bit Finders Investigation 1. And I didn't name these. I think underneath the description of the video it'll tell you which each one's focused on. But they just look at different pieces of the Finders puzzle. And so for those of you who come in on and telling me, hey, you should check out Amazing Polly or Jamie Deluxe or Unknown Observer, and nothing against most of those people, but the work that they're doing, I've already done it. You just got to come over here and dig it. And people like John Brissom, who we interviewed right here, has already done it. We also released this podcast looking at Scott Hunt, one of the officers who claimed that there was a cover-up going on. But as I said, I started working on this in 2018. Most of these videos came out late 2018 into 2019. The documentary itself was released just earlier this year. It seems so long ago, but back at Anarchapulco in February 2019. So we're coming up on the year anniversary of that. And I just picked this topic because I thought it was interesting and because I was surprised how much evidence there was for a cover-up and how little people knew about it, even in the conspiracy culture. So I dropped this February 2019 and people were reaching out. I started to get different pieces of the puzzle. And then all of a sudden we get to October and the FBI releases their Finders file. Randomly, after 3 decades, they post declassified documents related to the Finders investigation. There's Robert Gardner Terrell, the man that we interview right down here that I released recently. That was the spokesman for the Finders. And there's the 2 men that were arrested, including one of them who we released an interview with. And so this came out. People started talking about the Finders. Some of the independent media, but a lot of the independent media, alternative media, dropped the ball. Of course, the mainstream completely ignored this, other than the Tallahassee Democrat, and the only reason they even reported on it, I believe, is because they were one of the first local papers that reported on the case originally back in 1987 and 1993. So I do believe this story is huge, because as we did here when we went through the biggest bombshells from the Finders document dump, and I know it's an hour and 14 minutes long, maybe I need to make a shorter version for those who just want the bullet points. But guys, we have new details now. I mean, we have details that I didn't even have when I was making the documentary. Mainly, specifically, the Manhattan Police Department, the Metro Police Department documents where they summarize that the Finders was indeed a cult that had ties to the CIA, and the whole thing was covered up by the CIA and the Foreign Counterintelligence Agency. And at that time, it was very much shut down by these agencies. And the Metro PD department document came out, and it clearly states that whoever wrote that document, which is more than likely Detective Jim Bradley, knew for a fact that there was a cover-up going on. And he even suggested that, hey, we should track this group and keep in touch with them because they claim that they're going to splinter, they're going to break, that if they're going to claim that they're over, but they're really going to splinter and rename themselves and continue doing their work. So they knew what was going on. But publicly, in 1987, and 1993, they told people there was nothing to see there. So these documents prove that there was a cover-up. I mean, without a doubt. We also learned, we saw things about children in cages. There's just different pieces of the puzzle. Much of it is things we already knew, but there are, some big new pieces of information. Of course, Vice wrote about it. They covered up for the finders. I did a video on that. Then through John Brisson, the journalist right here, who's another investigator in this rabbit hole, he finally released and got Ramon Martinez's full U.S. Customs report, which was the original whistleblowing document that let us know that there was something inside that warehouse that we hadn't been told about. And of course, his career was destroyed. This is the guy, for those who may remember, that I tried to go visit. Well, I did go visit during my documentary, and he told me to fuck off. And I emailed him back and forth. And, apparently since then, he has a police report filed on me, and he's basically told me to leave him the fuck alone, or he's going to, file charges on me. So I'm letting it go for the moment. And we're trying other avenues. And John and I are actually going to be working on a video very soon that's going to detail the pieces of the puzzle that those of you who are interested in open source journalism can help out. For example, the people who helped cover it up, the people who tried to whistleblow who died, and those who might still be alive, and see how we can continue to crack the case on the finders. Because this is my number 6 story. There's more to come, and I don't want to spoil any of the others that are coming. But the reason I'm highlighting the finders on their own, not as part of the kind of larger pedophilia issue, is because this one involves intelligence. It involves accusation of Satanism, which I think are the weakest part of the accusations, I will say. But it definitely involves trafficking of kids. It involves intelligence cover-ups, and it's so heavily, easily documented. And there's so many people coming, that have spoke out in different ways, but it was completely covered up like many other things. And you would think if we had any, again, I've been saying this a lot lately, but if we had any real semblance of media, this would be front page news. They're talking about Donald Trump and impeachment and caring about constitutionality while you've got people who are still in the FBI, probably still in the CIA, and working for these other intelligence agencies who helped cover this shit up. And they're still existing. They're still working. They're still getting paid. And they're still being treated like kings and queens, while the rest of us are just the plebes on the street. And it's really fucked up. It's really sad. If this is all new to you, again, there's no better place to start than the Finders Investigation playlist. You can start with the documentary. You can go through these 7 parts of my investigation. You can listen. You just go through it all if you want to, if you really want to get deep dive with it. Because I'm telling you this, I know people are like, oh, check out Amazing Polly. Somebody's going to comment below, check out Amazing Polly's work. Guys, Polly was just pure speculation, and I'm glad that she referenced my work, and I'm thankful to everybody who credits my documentary because they know that I helped kind of bring this topic back up. But I haven't seen anything new other than what John got, the customs agent's report. I haven't seen anything new that I haven't already touched on this, including when people are like, hey, Jamie Deluxe actually found some of these people. I found them last year, guys. Just look at my reports. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. This should be, though, one of the biggest stories of 2019. It is. It's again, my stories of the top 7 are not in any particular order. The number 7 was the mandatory vaccination push and the censorship by media. This one, to me, is just another sort of thread that has been pulled, exposing that intelligence agencies operate and work with a variety of groups. And we still don't know the truth about the finders. We know that there was a cover-up. We know that people have died. We know that people are still alive out there. I'm trying to see if I can find Robert Terrell again and sit down with him and do another interview. I showed you guys this one. And when I recorded this interview last August, I didn't know half as much as I do now about the finders. And so there's a lot of areas I definitely would follow up with him and press him harder on if I do get a chance to interview him. But for now, this is just where it's at, and I will continue to stay on to this case as we move into 2020. And I really appreciate you guys, everybody who has helped me out, because I want to remind you, this documentary, the Finders documentary, was completely funded by my Patreon supporters. So just another reminder to sign up at Patreon, or for those who want to help out, please make a one-time contribution to our ongoing crowdfunding campaign for our next documentary, which will be out January 2020, the 5G Trojan Horse, and I believe will be equally valuable as the Finders investigation. The Finders documentary has almost reached 100,000 views. I hope we can keep pushing that and generate more interest. That is really amazing for especially in a really obscure topic. And so I'm thankful for that. But I do think with the 5G documentary, we can make it go even more viral and reach so many people and hopefully wake them up and start challenging these systems of power. Because that's why I do this work. That's why I do these documentaries, is because I'm trying to share knowledge and hopefully inspire you guys to give a shit, to share it with other people, and hopefully inspire those people to give a shit. And hopefully eventually we come up with some kind of solution and we change things. That's what I'm after. I don't know about you guys. This isn't infotainment for me. This is an effort to change the world, better myself, and help as many people as possible. So I hope you'll join me with that. And until next time, remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. Peace.